Hello, I'm Paul Lambis and welcome to our 8th episode of Culturescope featured on Cyprus Mail's interactive web portal Good Living. Our location for this episode is the serene and unspoiled village of Mandria, featuring a pleasant mix of old-time charm and modernism, making it a unique and popular place to visit. The small idyllic village of Mandria is the perfect place to experience the quiet rhythms of country life. Surrounded by acres of farmland, Mandria is one of the most productive villages in Cyprus, renowned for its easygoing Mediterranean lifestyle that respects and nurtures timeless traditions. Located on the seafront, this charming location is an ideal tourist spot where the peaceful and serene ambience makes it an apt place for rejuvenation. Located south of the village, this unique chapel is the only one in the world dedicated to a Cypriot saint known as Ayia Vryaini. Destroyed by the Turkish Cypriots in 1963, the church was restored to its former glory in 1986 after its foundations were unearthed by a Greek Cypriot refugee who had settled here from the north after the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974. Miracles attributed to Ayia Vryaini are ones of healing, so much so that the number of her pilgrims has increased significantly. Ayia Vryaini is commemorated by the church on August the 30th. Small yet inviting, the village square is brimming with life, drawing in crowds from near and far. Here you will encounter Cyprus at its authentic best, with its enchanting taverns, shops and restaurants offering a selection of local and international cuisine. On the outskirts of the village, one will encounter Leptos Botanical Park, an impressive haven for nature lovers and the perfect way to experience the traditions and customs that are unique to Cyprus. From the alluring waters of the Mediterranean to rural Cypriot life, from remarkable religious sites to nearby golf courses, Mandria village is a delightful place to visit and an opportunity to experience its unique sense of community firsthand. Georgiou is a Cypriot singer who became well known after his participation in the first edition of the Greek X Factor. Having performed with renowned Greek performers such as Anavisi, Antonis Ramos and Eleni Furera, Georgiou is one of Cyprus's most distinctive bilingual artists, and the stage is set for a momentous 2021.
Picture perfect, you don't need no filter. Go just make him jump, take you a killer. Shower you with all my intentions. Yeah, these are my only intentions.
Louis, you're a successful singer who participated in Series 1 of the X Factor in Greece. Let's start about how you got into music and your journey that has led you to be signed by a large label in Greece.
Θυμάμαι πάντα τον εαυτό μου από πολύ μικρή ηλικία να τραγουδάω. Οπότε αυτό ήταν πάντα αυτό που ήθελα να είμαι και αυτό που κάνω μέχρι και σήμερα. Ξεκίνησα από πάρα πολύ μικρή ηλικία να πηγαίνω σε διαγωνισμούς. Το ενδιαφέρον μου για τη μουσική και το τραγούδι με έκανε να ξεκινήσω μαθήματα πιάνου. Έχω τελειώσει πιάνο, έχω πάρει πτυχίο, έχω κάνει μαθήματα χορού από μικρή ηλικία και ξεκίνησα στα 12 με 13 χρονών. Ξεκίνησα να πηγαίνω σε παγκύπριους διαγωνισμούς στην Κύπρο. Τους περισσότερους από αυτούς είχα πάρει και το πρώτο βραβείο και αυτό έγινε από τα 13 μου μέχρι τα 16 μου. Στα 16 μισό ακούσαμε για το X Factor, το πρώτο X Factor που θα γινόταν στην Ελλάδα. Ο πατέρας μου έκανε αίτηση για να λάβω μέρος στο διαγωνισμό και έτσι πήγα στην οντισιόν που έγινε στην Κύπρο, στη Λευκοσία. Και έτσι ξεκίνησε όλο αυτό. Ήταν μια απίστευτα καλή εμπειρία. Πήγε πάρα πολύ καλά. Νομίζω ότι ήμουνα και περίπου ένα ιδεολάκι του τελικό. Είναι μια εμπειρία που δεν θα ξεχάσω ποτέ. Εγώ όταν είμαι σπίτι και ακούω μουσική ή μελετώ μουσική, είναι πιο πολύ ξένο γενικότερα. Γιατί να σου πω την αλήθεια, θεωρώ ότι υπάρχει πιο πολύ αυθεντικότητα, originality στο εξωτερικό, κάνουν πιο πρωτότυπα πράγματα, οπότε θεωρώ ότι έχεις περισσότερα πράγματα να μάθεις από το εξωτερικό και από shows.
In 2013, you were part of the highly successful rock opera Demones, alongside with singing sensation Anavisi. You've also performed with other famous Greek artists such as Andonis Ramos and Eleni Ferreira. Has the experience of working with renowned artists influenced your journey in any way?
Δεν πίστευα ποτέ ότι θα είμαι μέρος αυτού. Εγώ από πάρα πολύ μικρή ηλικία ήταν το όνειρό μου να συνεργαστώ με την Anavisi, γιατί πραγματικά ήταν και είναι από τις αγαπημένες μου, η αγαπημένη μου τραγουδίστρια βασικά. Μετά κάναμε μια άλλη συνεργασία που ήταν ο Αντώνης Ρέμος και η Anavisi σε ένα show που κάνανε το ένα ή κανένα λεγότανε. Και ήταν έτσι το πρώτο show που έγινε στην Αθήνα, που δεν ήταν μπουζούκια με γαρίφαλα και ούτε τραπέζια, ποτά κτλ. Ήταν θέατρο στην ουσία και ερχόταν ο κόσμος, καθόταν, έβλεπε την παράσταση σαν μουσική σκηνή, ας πούμε, βέβαια σε ένα τεράστιο χώρο στο πρώην Αθηνών Αρένα που μετονομάστηκε σε Pantheon Theater. Η πρώτη μου συνεργασία με την Ελένη ήταν τέλη του 2015 που συνεργαζόταν με Πάολα και στην ουσία ήταν η πρώτη έτσι συνεργασία που είχαμε και από τότε βασικά δεν ήξερα αν θα κρατήσει, πώς θα είναι η χημεία μας μεταξύ μας. Εν τέλει γίναμε και πάρα πολύ, ήρθαμε πολύ κοντά σαν άνθρωποι και σαν καλλιτέχνες, γιατί και αυτή υποστηρίζει το pop και στην Ελλάδα δεν υπάρχουν πάρα πολλοί pop, καθαροί pop τραγουδιστές. Οπότε έκανε support το ένα στον άλλον, μου έλεγε ιδέες της έλεγα και εγώ ιδέες, τι μπορεί να κάνει, τι μπορώ να κάνω και με έχει βοηθήσει πάρα πολύ. Νομίζω ότι οι καλλιτέχνες μεταξύ τους, όταν ειδικά υπάρχει και μια σχέση φιλίας και όχι μόνο και εκτίμησης στο τραγούδι, δεν γίνεται να μην κάνεις influence. Όλοι κάνουν influence και η Anavisi μου έκανε influence και ο Αντώνης Ρέμος, παρόλο που δεν είναι pop τραγουδιστής, μου έκανε influence σε άλλα πράγματα που έχω δει. Έχω δει, ας πούμε, το πώς δουλεύει στο soundcheck. Σου λέω ένα παράδειγμα. Οπότε κάτι πάντα παίρνεις από κάποιον. Και έχω συνεργαστεί με πάρα πολλούς καλλιτέχνες πολλών ειδών, διαφορετικών ειδών, ας πούμε, και έχω πάρει πάρα πολλά πράγματα από όλους τους και είμαι πάρα πολύ τυχερός που μου δόθηκε ευκαιρία να είμαι σε πολύ μεγάλα και μαχαζιά στην Αθήνα. Δόξα τω Θεώ, ήμουνα και είμαι στα πιο καλά μαχαζιά night clubs στην Αθήνα.
What's next for Louis?
Λοιπόν, αυτή τη στιγμή, έχοντας κάνει όλα αυτά που έχω κάνει μέχρι τώρα, όπως σου είπα και πριν, νιώθω πάρα πολύ τυχερός που τα έχω κάνει. Τώρα αυτή τη στιγμή βρίσκομαι και σύντομα θα πάω Αθήνα σε λίγες μέρες. Μόλις πάω θα μπω κατευθείαν στούντιο, γιατί ετοιμάζω ένα πάρα πολύ όμορφο κομμάτι με τους Arcade. Οι Arcade έχουν γράψει στην Ελένη του Αλρίτμο, έχουν γράψει στην Παπαρίζου, στο Ρουβά, σε πάρα πολλούς και είναι και ο Αναστάσιος Ράμος μέσα σε αυτό το team που είναι πολύ γνωστός τραγουδιστής στην Ελλάδα και γράφει ωραία τραγούδια και γενικότερα θα φτιάξουμε κάτι πολύ ωραίο, θα είναι pop όπως πάντα, γιατί στην ουσία θέλω και προσπαθώ να μείνω στο στυλ που κάνω. Δεν θέλω, γιατί έχει τύχει να μου πούν κάνε κάτι άλλο, έτσι λίγο πιο λαϊκό pop, γιατί είμαστε στην Ελλάδα. Όσο δεν το νιώθω αυτό, δεν θα το κάνω. Το επόμενο μου βήμα είναι σίγουρα το καινούριο τραγούδι. Δεν ξέρω ακριβώς πότε θα βγει, είναι ανάλογα πώς θα πάνε τα πράγματα με τις καταστάσεις που εύχομαι να πάνε όλα καλά. Και αν όλα πάνε καλά, θα ξεκινήσω και σε ένα πολύ γνωστό μαγαζί στην Αθήνα από Νοέμβριο, αν είναι όλα καλά. Η δουλειά μας, στην ουσία, είναι αυτά που τραγουδάμε να βοηθάνε αυτός που θα το ακούσει ή θα πάει σε ένα κλαμπ ή θα πάει ας πούμε κάπου να ακούσει κάτι, να κάνει σύνδεση στην ουσία και αυτό που ακούσει κάποιον που σου λέει αυτός με έκανε influence και με βοήθησε ας πούμε πάρα πολύ στη ζωή μου, δεν το έχεις ακούσει ας πούμε από πολλούς ανθρώπους που λένε ξέρω εγώ Lady Gaga saved my life ας πούμε. Γιατί ή Mariah Carey ας πούμε, γιατί μέσα από τα τραγούδια τους έχουν βοηθήσει ανθρώπους να ξεπεράσουν προβλήματα ή ακόμα και να περάσουν καλά. Δηλαδή να βγουν έξω και ας πούμε τραγούδια που έχουν να τους κάνουν να νιώθουν, ξέρω εγώ, ότι νιώθουν χαρά, μπορούν να πιούν, να διασκεδάσουν. Οπότε για μένα αυτή είναι η δουλειά μας. Όλοι είμαστε το ίδιο. Εγώ βγαίνω να τραγουδήσω σε σκηνή και είναι δουλειά και είναι χαρά μου που την κάνω αυτή τη δουλειά, γιατί νομίζω το έχεις δει όσες φορές βγαίνω στη σκηνή, ό,τι και να έχω, ό,τι πρόβλημα και να έχω, οτιδήποτε και να συμβαίνει στη ζωή μου, εκεί βγαίνω και είμαι ο Λούις, ο καλλιτέχνης. Όταν κατεβαίνω από τη σκηνή μπορώ να ζήσω το πρόβλημά μου ή το δράμα μου ή δεν ξέρω κι εγώ τι, ή να το μοιραστώ στη σκηνή. Αυτή είναι η δουλειά μου. Ενώ ας πούμε κάποιος άλλος, οποιαδήποτε άλλη δουλειά, φτάνει να αγαπάς αυτό που θες. Αν δεν πιστέψεις πρώτα εσύ σε σένα, ποιος θα σε πιστέψει? Οπότε ξυπνάς το πρωί, λες ευχαριστώ στον εαυτό σου, δείξεις ένα χαμόγελο και πιστεύεις στον εαυτό σου. Εάν δεν πιστεύεις στον εαυτό σου, δεν μπορείς να περιμένεις να σε πιστέψει οποιοσδήποτε άλλος. Θεωρώ ότι αυτό είναι που με κράτησε και στις πιο δύσκολες μου στιγμές και με έκανε ας πούμε motivate να συνεχίσω και να προχωρήσω.
An old Limassol city landmark has just been given a brilliant facelift and has fast become the talk of the town. The totally revamped Limassol Agora, right in the commercial heart of the city, is an ideal venue to recharge your batteries if you're having a busy day in the city. Her purpose is to expose bravery, exploration, change and creation in people so that they can live their dream life. Meet New Zealand-born Despina Nicola, a life coach that specializes in managing addictions and relationships, who has made it her mission in life to walk shoulder to shoulder with those who are hurting until they find fulfillment. Despina, you're a life coach who specializes in managing addictions and relationships. What inspired your passion for learning about human evolution?
Well, basically, I believe that all of us are born good and we are born from light. But some people in this world, their life becomes quite complicated and they go into toxic relationships, they consume toxins, they do toxic things like gambling, and they ruin themselves. And the reason why I got into learning about humans and trying to understand them and their evolution was because I wanted to understand why people are unhappy. I wanted to actually be the person that could go down the hole and actually be there for people that are going through pain, and understand them and try to help them understand themselves better in order to make better decisions. During my school years, I went through a time where I was an underachiever because I missed out about 9 months of school when I came to Cyprus. And I went back to New Zealand and I was in a lower level class. I mean, I was in the lowest band. And the feelings I felt about myself when I compared myself to other people, it made me feel so low. And through help from family members, like my sister at the age of 16, who has passed away, but she was a beautiful person. At the age of 16, she went and helped me through getting me into a higher band, and I topped the class. And then I went on to university where I was, I got a really high band score at university. And so from that, I realized that we may be labeled, maybe not being academic or not being able to do something, but it's your perception or other people's perception that can be changed.
Your latest book, Enough is Enough, is a helpful guide to managing addictions, transcending suffering through the cycles of change, and ultimately ending with fulfillment. Is it easy for one to break nasty habits and exercise control over them?
The book deals with, first of all, exploring yourself and actually saying, look, I surrender, I need help. And it's actually surrendering to somebody to come and help you. And then you actually explore your timeline and you go through different phases of your life, and you see that during my childhood years I was put, like me, in this class, and I feel, and this has made me feel inadequate in my 20s or in my 30s, and then I go on to form toxic relationships because I feel an underachiever or I feel that I'm not enough. And so basically by exploring your timeline, you can see where the imprints were made and you can see what was wrong. It's like from being a person that is, you've got a ship and you're going round and round the port and you're going nowhere with no crew and no map. You can actually ask for help and get people on board to help you move your ship. And that's the first stage of the book. The second stage goes through transformation. It goes through the changes that have to take place, because whatever we are drawing into our life is just a perception. It's what we feel that we are at that time, but that perception can be changed. And that's the stage where you feel like there's a waterfall and you're paddling away from the waterfall. It's the change stage. That is the most difficult stage for the addict or for the person who's drawing negative relationships. That's a stage where you need help. The last part of the book, which is it's taking over the island stage. I'd like to say it's like being on an island and actually burning the boats. The book is divided, it's got three sources that came into it. The first is the book with the activities. The second in the book is a higher power. Now, a higher power can be anything for anyone. It might be Allah, Buddha, God, your higher self, whatever works for people, it's their personal journey. The higher power that I use is God. But the third one is a buddy system, and the buddy system could be your wife, or you could have a group. It might be AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or it might be a counselor, or it might be your best friend. So what you do is you have a buddy system in place, so when you do feel the urge to perform a negative habit, you've got the hotline. I believe my philosophy, my motto, and the way that I like to live is through this prayer. It's the prayer of St. Francis. And it starts off with, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Because that's what we are born to do. We're born to be down here and get that energy and spread it so it will grow. And where there is hatred, let me sow love. So even if people have harmed us in our life, even if we've been a victim, even if somebody has abused us, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. We forgive. We forgive, but we don't have to trust. We can forgive so that we can pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. So even if we procrastinate, even if we're self-critical, even if we hesitate, even if whatever, we've got faith in ourselves. We can believe in ourselves. There is tomorrow and there is the next moment. Where there is despair, hope. That is the most amazing thing. Like actually, before you go to bed, you picture yourself the next day. There is hope. There is that person that you're going to be in 5 years' time. Where there is darkness, light, instead of adding to pain, you can spread light. Because really, when someone is nasty to you, you can spread light you can bring out light. And where there is sadness, joy. So, O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled, but to console. To be understood as to understand. To be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. I can't say this next line, but okay. And it is in dying that we are born into eternal life. And that's where I feel that we're going to. Our souls will be joined into the light above. And that's where our real living will begin.
Johny Stavrinou is Ayia Rugby CEO and co-founder and previous president of Cyprus Rugby. With a proven track record, Johny is leading Ayia Rugby into a new era, guided by his principles of equality, transparency, and accountability. Johny, you're the Ayia Rugby CEO and co-founder and previous president of Cyprus Rugby with a proven track record. What inspired your interest for the sport?
So growing up in South Africa, rugby was part of your daily routine. Breakfast, lunch, supper, rugby. Was part of the growing up process in South Africa. And I think from a very young age, I became very attached to the sport. I wasn't very good at it, but I became very, very attached to the sport, up to and including the time I came here to Cyprus. And you mentioned the word co-founding, and that's quite interesting because civilian rugby was not really set up in Cyprus when I came here. And it was a select group of people from all parts of the world who knew about rugby, who loved rugby, who wanted to see rugby on the island, who saw the potential for rugby on the island, and all on a voluntary basis. When everybody had free time, we all did our little bit, and this is where we are today, 16 years later, 17 years later. It's taken a lot of time for the Cyprus Sports Authority to sort of notice rugby as such. So the Cyprus Sports Authority does provide sponsorship across the board for all sporting federations here. And within some sporting federations, they know the intricacies and how it operates, and they'll probably go and support and what have you. The first time that somebody from the Cyprus Sports Authority and the Cyprus Olympic Committee that actually came to a rugby game and to see what it's about, to see the gentleman nature of the whole product that you put together when you put on a rugby game, was about a year and a half ago to 2 years ago, I think. And the support from then until now has gone from really good to absolutely fantastic. So we do have the support from the Cyprus Sports Authority, and we are very grateful to them, and also from the Cyprus Olympic Committee. And also, with regards to our communities, within all 4 cities where rugby is established here in Cyprus, there is a strong Cypriot support contingent that we have, and we're very proud of that.
A high-powered CEO selection committee was set up by Ayia Rugby Executive Committee to find the key person to help drive the governing body of Ayia Rugby forward, and of course to establish an attractive product to sell to advertisers. What was the selection process like?
Nerve-wracking. I think perhaps it was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life. But when I saw the advert, and when I saw that it entailed taking small to medium nations, unions, and assisting them, building them up, being there for them, serving them, working for them, doing as much as we can for them, it kind of took me back to the start of Cyprus Rugby, where these are the things that we had to do on a monthly basis, daily basis, weekly basis, in order to get the federation to where we are here. And back then I was very, very hands-on. So reading the prerequisites of what you needed to do and what they required from you, most of the boxes were ticked. That was the easy part. I think the difficult part was actually getting there and sitting in front of a panel of 7 people and telling them that, yes, I do come from a very small place called Cyprus, but believe me, the blood, sweat and tears is good enough to cover the whole of Asia. So in terms of the accomplishments that we have done, what we have achieved here in Cyprus is that, all that work that we have put in, we and knowing what it's like to build a union and a federation from zero, I think gave me enough confidence to apply for that particular position. And as I said, that was the easy part. The most difficult part was actually getting through that process of sitting in front of 7 people on the selection committee and trying to convince them that somebody from Little Cyprus is actually maybe good enough to consider for this particular position.
Rugby is still very much in its beginning phase in Cyprus. However, the success of our national team has set the tone for a long and bright future in the sport. Is the process of establishing and promoting rugby as a good product a challenging one, especially in a country where rugby isn't a popular sport?
First and foremost, looking at Cyprus rugby, the most important thing is to have the right people representing the sport on an executive level. If you have the right mix of people in there who will be able to carry the flag for the sport in all facets required to take this federation, or to take the Cyprus Rugby Federation, or to take the sport to be able to create a good product, an investable product, a credible product to the government, to the Olympic Committee, to potential sponsors, then I think this is the winning mix. And we've been very lucky here in Cyprus in that everybody sitting on the executive, past and future and present and perhaps even future as well, I hope that they all care about rugby very passionately. It's not a position where you get a reward of any sort whatsoever. There is no kudos to this in terms of the accessorized networking that you get from being on the Cyprus Rugby Federation. It's a seat that you take and a responsibility that you take purely out of the love and passion that you have for rugby, and to take this federation forward on the background of the vision that you have as the leader at that time of this federation.
What are the principles you live by?
Never become complacent in one position. Always evolve. Never ever give up. Never let anybody tell you that you are not good enough for something or inexperienced. Always remember, especially for me, is that people are your most valuable resource in all parts of life. Those are my principles.
Located on the coastline and in the pristine sought-after area of Coral Bay, Leptos Estates 5-star award-winning Coral Seas Villas is a show-stopping development featuring high-end facilities with awe-inspiring views of the Mediterranean. Stay connected and follow us on social media. If you want to be featured on Culturescope, contact our production team on the email provided below. Until next time, stay safe and let culture transform your life.